Hey friends, this next podcast episode is with Adrian Alex Rodriguez, and we recorded this last fall when he and I were both at a EarthX gathering down in Dallas, Texas. So hope you enjoy and just want to share with you the pre-COVID context of our discussion. Enjoy. Welcome to the Why on Earth Community's Stewardship and Sustainability podcast series. And today we are visiting with Adrian Alex Rodriguez. Hi, Adrian Alex.
Hi.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yes. So Adrian Alex lives in Mexico City and was born on the coast of the Sea of Cortez. He is the founder of Bodai, which I am really excited for you all to learn about, which has been called the first environmental platform using social media as an active tool. Bodai covers 9 topical and content sections, which we'll be talking about. And Adrian Alex also has expertise in sustainable projects that are triple bottom line, focused on the balance and harmony between economic, natural, and social aspects. He works in communication strategies for artists and curates impact strategies for nature. Adrian Alex is a youth activist and participated in the first global climate strike in Guadalajara, Mexico, the second in Mexico City, and the third in New York City in September of 2019, which of course I was there for that as well. So were several of our Why on Earth community ambassadors and board members, including Joni Clark. Going to give a shout out off camera. Hey Joni.
Hi.
And of course, this is the march where Greta Thunberg and Xiye Bastida were among many of the global youth leaders and indigenous leaders. And Adrian Alex also produces the Mushroom Festival of Guadalajara, which I'm excited to talk about that as well. So it's so great. We are here in Dallas, Texas, right? We connected at EarthX. And I'm really thrilled to have this opportunity to visit with you and to share with our audience the amazing work that you're doing.
Yeah, I'm happy to say hi to everyone and give a little taste about which kind of projects in Mexico we have around sustainability and nature.
Wonderful. So let's talk about Bodai, right? This is amazing.
Yeah.
And what's happening?
Yeah, well, 5 years ago, I was just dedicating to communication strategies around artists and products, and I sensed the need of using this tool, but to actual empowering something real like nature. So we started having a lot of names in our mind, and I was with this girl that was one of the founders with me, and we started detecting the need of making a real name. So Bodai came from the Sanskrit, that is one of the oldest languages in the world, and means the awakening of conscious, becoming more conscious about what surrounds you and acknowledge the power of nature.
Absolutely beautiful. And you've described for me a little bit in terms of what you're doing with Bodai, and the primary platform, right, is on Instagram. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, we have seen that most people use Instagram as a not cool tool. So we want to show people that young people and every kind of age people also are interested in nature. And when you have it in your phone, it's much easier to understand and to interact and to, make you change a little bit.
So what kind of images are people seeing on Bodai?
Well, we try to be cool. So we try to do a lot of surf image.
Surf?
Yeah, we have a section around surf, but because it was so difficult to maintain content of surf, we have to change it to plants, animals, but it was really cool. And also we have noticed people have a really good reaction to mushroom pictures, because they're magical and have these colors or these different structures. And also we try to have information that actually acts and like make solutions and involve people and notice them what they can do to change world. Like we're not only about talking about the problems, we also talk about the solutions. Like
That's so important. And you have quite a following, right?
yeah, well, we're getting almost 50,000 followers on
Wow.
Instagram, and we'll all the network we control in Mexico with different NGOs because we run the Instagram of those NGOs, like EarthX Mexico, like the Eco Symbol. So our network is getting to 100,000 followers between all the networks.
Oh my gosh, that's really amazing. And how long have you been at that with those different NGOs?
Well, like I said, I started with artists and with products like 6 years ago, and like full time to the environment like since 4 years ago.
Cool. I love it. So with these 9 different topical areas and themes, will you walk us through what are they and what would we experience when we check that out?
Yeah. What we do is we get together these academic people like biologists, engineers, and also like just people that really love nature, like young people, to have a specific teams like nutrition, like surf, like plants, and each week we upload an article of each section and trying to motivate people to live in a healthy way or to live or understand more plants because sometimes for example, you go to a pharmacy to buy something that you have the plant over there that
Right.
cures that need,
Yeah.
and it's more sustainable because you don't have to get to your car to go to the pharmacy
Yeah.
to have like this plastic delivered to you.
Yeah.
So I believe that everything we need is in nature. So Bodai means that understanding nature, like giving knowledge and accepting knowledge from different people, like
Absolutely.
and from nature. Absolutely.
Absolutely. This is beautiful. I know it'll make one of our global advisory board members very happy, Brigitte Mars, who is an herbalist who teaches all around the world. She has a course she does every year in Colombia, for example, and has written 17 books about herbal medicine. And she often is telling us, look, there's often medicine right outside the window, maybe in the yard or just down the street a little ways. And you don't have to go buy expensive pharmaceuticals for a lot of the things we're treating, right?
Well, it would be great to have one of those, information of, to have an article in our blog of.
That'd be fabulous.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, we can definitely loop
Maybe of
Brigitte
its
in.
favorite plant, maybe, I don't know.
I know her 3 favorite plants. We've talked about it. Yeah, this is a good idea actually. That'll be cool. So what are the 9 themes that you guys focus on?
Well, first, like we start with something easy, like news, like
Yeah.
informing people. Then we have one of our audience favorite that is fungi.
Fungi, yeah.
Fungi.
Mushrooms and fungus. If you're not familiar with fungi.
It's a section fungi Bodai is around mushrooms, and because the pictures and our biologist that provides this information, she's so brilliant that we have a cool area over there. Like, and we're starting doing projects also around that section.
Cool.
And we have also nutrition,
Yeah.
healthy lifestyle, like I said, animals, plants,
Yep.
recommendations,
Yeah.
initiatives, and expression that is like how nature and human beings are connected artistically, like we are really connected just beyond a higher level, like.
Beautiful. Wow. Okay, I love it. Yeah, and you know the fungi connection, it reminds me in Colorado where I'm from, we have the Colorado Mycological Society online, and there's a lot of people on there, and we help each other identify different species. It's wonderful. And when we get big flushes after the rains in the autumn, a lot of people go out foraging for different species. It's a lot of fun to see that kind of unfold in the community across, a pretty big region.
Yeah, and I believe so that in the mushroom, like in the fungi kingdom, we haven't done that much experiments
Yeah.
because biology says there's over 3 million of species in the world, and we just have identified the 10%,
Yes.
300,000. And of those, 25,000 are in Mexico.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Mexico is one of the richest countries in diversity in mushrooms. Well, in all.
Everything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard it's ranked up really high worldwide. Is that right?
Yeah,
In terms of biodiversity?
Yeah, it's like Mexico with the Mesoamerican Rift is the fourth biggest biodiversity in the world. And is one of the 12 countries that represent the 70% of all the nature in the world.
Oh my goodness. I'm just writing a couple quick notes here. I'll try to keep up with this, as this is really interesting and important. You know, I remember learning about one of my early heroes in all of this is Paul Stamets. And I remember hearing him talk about how he came to realize that on the Pacific coast of the Pacific Northwest, there was so much biodiversity it was essential to protect. Of course, there's a lot of logging that occurs in that part of the world. And I understand, if this story is true, that he actually went into the Pentagon of the United States, talked to the very high leaders in the military and said, look, when we're dealing with things like bioterrorism and other biological issues, we really need to preserve these resources because they may end up saving a lot of lives in the future. And apparently that helped preserve an enormous tract of old growth forest, basically, along the Pacific Northwest coast.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
When that area with the Sea of Cortez, they call it the aquarium of the world.
Yeah.
And also in that area, we have the Shark Island, that is the biggest island in Mexico. It's not a populated island because it's about the indigenous community are the owners, not the government of Mexico. They're called cities. It's the ancient community, and they've been really good protecting that area and trying to do a good economic system without harming nature.
Oh, interesting. Okay, we'll get the spelling on Satis, and maybe it'd be cool to provide a link in the show notes to something about, what is the island called?
Shark Island.
Shark. Okay, got it.
In Spanish, Isla el Tiburón.
Okay, cool. I'm not sure my spelling is very good in Spanish, so we'll have to circle back on that. So hey, I just want to get these stats down. So we were saying we think there are maybe 3 million species of fungus worldwide. We've ID'd 300,000 worldwide, and we know 25,000 are in Mexico.
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And let's talk a little bit about the Mushroom Festival in Guadalajara that you produce. What is this? What is it? What does it look like? I want to go, right?
Yeah.
I would like to do
Well,
that.
it's at the end of the mushroom season. That
Okay.
is rain season. Like
Yeah.
it's around the end of July or August. Why Guadalajara? Because Jalisco, it has a really rich diversity around mushrooms, and I have a community. Well, a community was doing this event, and Bodai gets to the event 2 years ago and start producing it with them, and like giving much more value because now we have biologists that identify each mushrooms like to everyone that surrounds like. So the first activity is going to the camp and like trying to have the most diversity of mushrooms to get these mushrooms to the festival, where it's like music and a lot of exhibitors that have sub-products or products of in mushrooms like Ganoderma extracts. Like they sell like mushrooms in bags and beers that are with mushrooms and all kind of products, even jewelry. Like so, energetically, it's a fun festival that try to make people understand that mushrooms are much than only like the magical mushroom. Like we have much culinary diversity of mushrooms. We also have pharmaceutical and medicinal mushrooms. And we have also to understand what mushroom means in nature, because are the ones that are in charge to connect everything. They say mushrooms are the internet of the world.
I love that. Yeah, and I've heard as we begin to really understand what's going on with the mycelial mats, the networks in the soil, and the complexity of connections among and between varieties of species, varieties of kingdoms, right? This absolutely dwarfs all of our technology.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this last night. I think it's one of the most important points for us to understand in these times, given what's at stake with the environmental situation, the climate situation. What's living in the soil is so essential to not only understand, but to celebrate, to protect, to be grateful for, and to work with, to help heal a lot of the challenges that we're facing, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm not an expert like in soil, but for me, like they teach me that with the most powerful technology and with the most wealth, economic power, also, you cannot make a ecosystem to bring like certain kind of mushrooms because their complexity.
Yeah.
So nature is the only one that has that power. So we humans is a lesson we need to understand that we cannot play the role of making everything with technology.
Yeah.
There's certain things in nature that speak by themselves. With Bodai also, no? Bodai speaks with them.
I absolutely love it. It's in the Y on Earth community, we talk a lot about humility, and for us to really have that kind of humility to understand just how awesome, how powerful, how essential these natural systems are.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Oh my goodness. So, by the way, I was going to ask with the mushroom diversity in Jalisco.
Yeah.
This is also where the Huichol people live, yeah?
No, that's San Luis Potosí, but it's near.
Okay.
In Mexico, the most diversity came from Veracruz and Oaxaca, that are like southern states, not down south, but southern, because it's really tropical. Like mushrooms like a lot humidity and like.
Yeah.
So that's a real, and also there's a big diversity because there are high places and low places. Mm-hmm. So that's also geographically it's important. Mm-hmm. What I would love to have more in Mexico, people to involve, is like when we were in a mushroom collection in Switzerland, they have a lot of. How I can tell you, they have a lot of strategies to teach people how to identify mushrooms, and they have identification centers that are open in certain hours and in certain season in the year, that you go with your mushrooms, you can collect only 1 kilogram, and they identify it to you and you can take it home and then you can cook them. So it will be really cool to start having these identification centers in all the world.
I love this.
And it will be cool to start in Mexico or in Dallas. I don't know.
Okay, maybe both.
Maybe both.
So did you harvest any champignon in Switzerland? Did you have this kind?
No, we have like it called in Mexico, we said panecito, that is boletus.
Oh yeah, boletus. We have a lot of this in Colorado.
Yeah.
King bolete.
Yeah, well, it's not that easy to find.
Okay.
And in Mexico, we have a big diversity. There's a Asian shaman called Maria Sabina from Oaxaca in Mexico. It's one of the most recognized places in the world for mushrooms, Huautla de Jimenez, and it's because they have like this. Mushrooms that have these psycho effects. Mm-hmm. And she was a shaman that without the biologist knowledge, but with the nature and the Asian knowledge, like she understand them, and she was the guide of the Beatles when they go to Mexico.
Oh wow!
And was also Walt Disney went with
the Beatles, the band.
The band,
oh,
Beatles.
Cool. Yeah.
Walt Disney was with her also.
Amazing.
And Aldous Huxley.
Of course. Yeah, I really appreciate Aldous Huxley as a writer, of course.
Yeah.
He's written a couple of really amazing and important books, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, one is called Island. Did you ever read this book, Island?
No.
It's not as well known as some of his others, but it's a fabulous read. And mushrooms actually figure in the story pretty prominently. So maybe if any of you are looking for a good one to read soon. Check out Island by Aldous Huxley. This is amazing. I'm just jotting down the Beatles, Walt Disney, Aldous Huxley.
Yeah, well, she was like the queen of the mushrooms in Mexico. Actually, we want to have a project because she is grave. It's near the town, and we want to restructure all the grave because now it's like in ruins.
Oh wow!
And
Yeah.
we Mexicans and the Bodai team think that she deserves to have this like excellent graveyard. It's like
Yeah.
a really spiritual and iconic symbol for Mexicans.
Yeah,
So I will send you the picture when we do that.
that's great. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Well, and it's interesting how something like a grave marker, that kind of a monument, can speak so much and can symbolize so much. And you were telling me earlier about some art projects in New York City, to switch gears a little bit, that are really helping people develop awareness about what's going on in the world, right?
Yeah. Well, in the climate strike, I met an artist. Is one of the most recognized artists, environmental artists, because she used only plastic materials and recycled materials, and it's all about that to her. And so then she took me to a museum. It's called Arcadia Earth. It's in Broadway Street in New York. These museums tries to do with innovation technologies and like with these artistic interventions, tries to sensibilize people in environmental matters. So this was a cave, a coral cave, that its message was that the coral is bleaching. So the cave is like white, and was made with 44,000 plastic bags, reused plastic bags that represent a time where New Yorkers use these, waste these plastic bags. And well, give me your expectations about the time. Which time?
How much time it takes
Yeah.
for 44,000?
Yeah.
I mean, what, like an hour? I don't know.
No, it's a 1 minute.
1 minute. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow, that's staggering.
Yeah.
Wow. 44,000 plastic bags in
And
1
it's
minute.
really cool. Like, if I tell you, like, you feel it, but when you see it, like, so it's really cool. Artists are trying to get involved in this movement and giving their talent to have these kind of conversations and sensibilize. She's called Beisha, and she called this data visualization.
Wow,
Okay.
I want to check that out. I'll actually be in New York soon after this recording, so I'll have to keep an eye out and make a visit for that. It's still there, or
Yeah, it's still there. It's a 6 months installation.
Okay, cool.
And I believe it's just 1 month since they opened. So.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Yeah, around the time of the climate strike, it sounds
Yeah,
like.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Well, it was one of the places where a lot of climate strike movement was like that place everyone was going and having some like interventions, and
Yeah.
actually Urdex do an event over there.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So let me just remind our audience that this is the Why on Earth Community's Stewardship and Sustainability podcast series, and we are visiting with Adrian Alex Rodriguez from Mexico City, but we're in Dallas, Texas while we're recording this conversation. And Adrian Alex has Bodai. You can find Bodai on Instagram with Bodai, BODAI_org, O-R-G. We'll have this in the show notes. Also online on the website is bodai.org, BODAI.org. And we're going to talk about eco-symbol a little bit, so if you're interested, you'll go to eco-symbol.com or at eco_symbol. And I want to take a moment to give a huge thanks and shout out to our partners and sponsors who are making this series possible, who are making our digital resources a reality for folks, and who are supporting our ongoing community mobilization work in real neighborhoods and real communities all over. And this includes Patagonia, Waylay Waters, Purium, the Lidge Family Foundation, Beauty Counter, the International Society of Sustainability Professionals, that's a mouthful, and the Biodynamic Association. Also, a huge shout out to all the individuals out there who have joined our monthly giving program. And this helps us with all the work that we're doing. It's a really big way of supporting this. If you haven't yet joined the monthly giving program and you would like to, you can go to whyonearth.org/support, or just go to the homepage, whyonearth.org, hit the donate button, and you can sign up for any level that works well for you to give on a monthly basis. When you do that, I'll send you an email with an exclusive, very special code to unlock all of our ebook and audiobook resources for free. And you can share that with friends and family as well, as if you'd like to. So a huge thanks to everybody for your support. And I am just thrilled, Adrian, Alex, about this opportunity to chat with you. Here it is. It's about fall, autumn here in 2019. And a lot of us are really starting to plan and prepare for 2020 because there's a whole lot that's going to be happening, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just curious, what are you seeing and envisioning when you're thinking about 2020 and what's coming, and what are some of the priorities you're working on?
Okay, well, what I felt is like this year we start sensing this energetic feeling around environmental activism and around involving youth with these politicians and with these big entrepreneurs, so we can actually have some plans in from now to 5 years to contribute to our planet. And for us in Bodai, we're starting a project, like I tell you, that is called For Biodiversity. That it's like the project will be trying to protect this biodiversity that is from the Sea of Cortez, north of Mexico, to the Mesoamerican Reef, that actually represent almost the 15% of the biodiversity in the world. So we're trying to do a big crowdfunding scheme around communication strategies, one of our expertise, and also trying to use the vehicle and the relationships that Earth acts as the biggest environmental experience in the world involve us. So we're trying to start making more actions in 2020, actually going down the field and protecting our oceans and protecting our nature and empower what we have. Because I love plastic and energy programs, but I believe we have to give more attention to protected areas and to keep what we actually have right now. Like,
oh, beautiful.
So
I love this. You know, in the first chapter of the book I wrote called Why on Earth, the very first chapter is called Place, and how important that direct connection is to places where we live, where we spend time, and for us to care as in stewardship of these places, right?
yeah.
That's what I hear you describing exactly.
Yeah, and also because now we're sensing we have like more than 2,000 species, endangered species and extinctions in Mexico. So if we start having this sense, we can have a lot of animals become extinct and a lot of plants. We don't want to start having that cycle.
Yeah.
We have to have the cycle. We have to protect and have more species, because the species nature is so wonderful that you have to let it go. Like if you let it go, it could do it by its own. Like it's amazing. So also in 2020, we're having a couple events in EarthX in Mexico. We're having a couple in the north and one in the center of Mexico. And one specific, the one of the Pacific coast, the theme will be rescuing the Pacific coast. No, that will be actual the name of the event, rescuing the Pacific, and we will be involving big organizations like Bodai, like EarthX, like Fridays for Future, and like the Fund and National Conservatory of Mexico of species. So we're trying to get in different aspects to get people involved, like the Mushroom Festival, these ocean protection events, and also we will keep striking. Like
Yeah.
every time, like these young leaders ask us to strike, we believe in its like reason and in its idealism, and then we will be together because that what I've been feeling about environmental, that we need to be more together. We have to be unifying as a community, because if we want to change everything, we have to change us between how we express between us and how we can learn everyone from each other.
Absolutely love it. So beautiful. Do you happen to know, we recently did an interview with Emily McGlone, the New York director of Peace Boat.
Okay.
And next summer, 2020, they're going to be in the port in, I think, Puerto Vallarta or somewhere on the Pacific coast. Have you connected with them about this?
Well, I'm not connected with them, but I'm connected with a project called Restore Coral that is really connected with them.
Oh, cool.
This project, what it's trying to do is trying to do like an arc or like a museum, but we call it idealistic and Noah's Ark, to save the endemic species of coral in Mexico. So if we're losing all these because of bleaching, when we have if the conditions of the ocean will be again the right ones, so coral can restore, we have all these species in a bank. So it's
Good.
like a museum bank, so people can understand in which moment we are. Like we are in that moment. We need to pull species from the ecosystem because it's so in danger, so we can keep them alive, and then hopefully the ocean, with our help and with its help, restructure so we can introduce these species again. It's called Restore Coral, and it's really it's really connected with the Peace Boat.
That's good to hear. Yeah, I'm really happy. You know, as you're talking, I'm realizing I think the term coral bleaching doesn't really do a good job of describing what this is, and I want to make sure our audience, some of us may not have heard about this before. This is the massive die-off of coral forests in the ocean, basically, right?
Yeah.
This is a tremendous problem that we're seeing in ocean waters all around the world.
Yeah. Well, they call it the white syndrome because the coral start dying and losing these properties that makes him alive, because temperature issues and contamination issues, pollution, and so it starts getting white, losing its color until what becomes that. I don't have the exact numbers, but they say that in South Mexico and the Caribbean, in the last year, we have lost more than 30% of all our coral.
30%?
30%.
And that's the second largest coral reef in the world, right?
After the Australian, that.
Yeah.
Ion or the Mesoamerican coral reef.
Wow. Okay. It's so important that we're all mobilizing and doing everything we can around these issues. Restoring, healing, regenerating.
Yeah, well, it's important for us, having this conversation every day and everywhere. Like, if you feel sometimes misunderstood because you talk about nature and you start having this sense of activism, you need to realize that you're not alone. We're a lot of people that we're compromising of changing stuff, and it's good to give each other a palm in the back once in a while.
Absolutely. It's such an important message. And one of the really cool benefits, I've actually talked about this with a few people and just in the last couple days about doing these podcasts, is that I get to meet and really learn about the work that amazing people are doing kind of all over the place in all sorts of sectors related to our future, related to taking care of the planet, related to being good to each other. And it gives me great hope knowing that more and more of us are truly mobilizing and kind of making this big pivot, that we're needing to make as a species, and it's happening. And it makes me feel full of joy, notwithstanding how challenging things are right now, that more and more of us are arising and responding to this very impulse that's happening.
Yeah, well, it started like impulse. Now it's sensing like action. Like it started becoming action, and our biologist crew and like our academic crew. Academic people is so smart, and they understand it's all about knowledge. We have to go for more knowledge, like, because most people talk about changing stuff, but if we don't understand nature, we cannot change it. Actually, one of our projects for 2020, the yearly, like in January, we want to do a showroom like in Mexico City, that we have our own cultivate mushroom, so people understand how they grow and its diversity. And well, it's difficult to have diversity in one showroom because they need different temperatures and different resources where they grow.
Yeah.
But we're trying to do something special for people. So maybe if you're next year in Mexico,
Yeah.
I can show you around.
Oh, I can't wait. That'll be wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, right, different species of mushroom are growing on different substrates,
Yeah.
right? Different types of wood, other decomposing material.
Yeah,
basically.
like it could be books. Like I was talking to a couple of biologists before the podcast, and they say even in a diaper, in a baby diaper, like,
Right, sure.
yeah, like
Yeah.
it depends on mushrooms. Like, but right now, what I'm understanding, because well, I'm not the expert, but I'm understanding that much different resources is that like the diversity of mushrooms, but the fancier are the ones that actually want the finest good. For example, like the ones that have more properties, medicinal properties, are really well more difficult to cultivate. So it's really cool. Like if we try to understand nature, nature speaks to us, like really. So we're happy of that project, and also we're really happy about the Eco Symbol project. The Eco Symbol project is a project that we sense as a community, different activism. These artists from New York, a couple of people in Mexico, and different NGOs. We sense that between each NGO, sometimes between academics, we have this sense of competition, of being competitive, and having a certain kind of ego. And then we realize how the LGBT movement grew up and like consolidate like a real movement. Is because they're really cool and they're really together and they really try to embrace everyone, doesn't matter its difference. And I sense that the environmental movement needs this. So we were talking all these activists, and we came down with idea called the Eco Symbol, that is a flag, is a symbol that represent us beyond anything, no matter your NGO, your country, your age, doesn't matter anything, but it's a symbol that represents hope to nature, and it's a symbol that probably all the hotels, all the restaurants, all the people and enterprises that have this intention of becoming more environmental should adapt, but we compromise, not with lies. No, if we want to adopt this symbol, we have to adapt it with real compromise.
Yep. Real values, real principles.
Real actions, like now actions, like I was doing this, but now I'm doing this because I believe so, you know?
Yep. Excellent. Oh, that's really exciting to hear about. So that's Eco Symbol, and folks, as we mentioned, you can go to eco-symbol.com or it's at eco_symbol if you want to check it out in social media. And yeah, that's exciting. I think we'll try to get that out there through the Y on Earth platform as well. That'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, you can upload it. It's for everyone. It doesn't have a copyright. Everyone can use it, and that's important. Not just detecting the need of having this kind of symbol. What is important is having the humbleness to explain people, and they really want to embrace it. Because if it's a symbol without the embracement of a community, it's nothing.
Yeah.
But these are all says that revolution comes with a symbol, like with, and I sense that if we are in this environmental revolution, we need more flags that represent us, and like over the world, like we need to be more unified and understanding that is the only way, like to change things, like to change us, because it's the spirit changing us to change the world.
That's beautiful. That's exciting. That gives me hope. All right. Revolution comes with a symbol. Yes. Oh, that is beautiful. I can just visualize it all over the place.
Yeah, well, I don't have my phone is dead, but if not, I show you. It's a beautiful colors, and each layer should represent a compromise by our own. Like me, it tried to compromise in protecting biodiversity, like water rights and ocean conservancy. But if someone like these biologist experts, that we have that love mushroom, that represent like love to mushrooms and protection to them. And if this guy, the coral guy, the restored coral, wants coral, like everyone can do something, and each color should represent something personal, because nature is all about that, about making it personal and making memories around around it, because that's the biggest pleasure we'll have in years, like to like tell people our nature experiences. Like luxury will be everywhere, anywhere, like but saying I was in the 2019 Mushroom Festival in Guadalajara, it's like I think that's different. Like, I was in the first international climate strike with this girl that came from Europe all the way, like on a fairy tale, to change and take over 3,000 people in New York. So
350,000.
So
amazing, right? To be a part of that. That history. It's
that's
a big part of our story. These are the good old days.
These are the good old days. When I met the artist in New York, she told me, like, you came all the way from Mexico to strike in New York, and what I explained to her is like, we should be for more countries over here, because in a certain way with our platform, and like me as a youth leader in Mexico, I was the eyes of a country over there. And sometimes people is nervous about what's happening, and they want you to feel alone. But after New York, I know that I'm not alone.
There's a whole bunch of us over there. That's absolutely beautiful.
And it's cool to have that kind of conventions, because it's like charging yourself, not with with power and with love and with knowledge, because a lot of people over there don't have knowledge. So I think we have to continue impulsing these kind of activities that bring us together, like strikes, like conventions. And people laugh about that, because there's a lot of strikes, a lot of conventions, but you're not changing stuff. I know we're changing. I've seen little children eyes, and I know what they are feeling. And I would love to feel that when I was 15.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. It's very powerful. What's happening now. So I'm struck. I'm really curious and interested in language. And I'm struck by your use of the term compromise, because it's a little different than I think how many of us would use the term here in the United States. And compromise often ends up carrying this sort of negative connotation, like in the political realm. But I was thinking, when we break the word down, there's the word promise, and the com is like with. And it's almost like you're making a promise with somebody, right? Is this tell us more about what this word means for you?
It's, well, in Mexico, it's compromiso. Is when you love something so much that you get so attached, you don't want to move from it. Like we say the wedding ring, we say el anillo de compromiso, like compromise ring will be. So imagine that's the feeling, like being together, like promise to nature that we will be together.
Yes.
And we will be like, and it's not a negative connotation, but compromise comes with responsibilities.
Absolutely.
And that's why people sometimes felt this way, that like these negative sides, but responsibilities, it's something we have to understand as humans that comes with the rights of nature. If you are blessed with this nature, you should have the responsibility to protect it. And you should have the responsibility to know your own resources and your own capacities to be part of this movement.
Yeah.
And I believe so, environmentalists, we understand each other, that we are like Tetris parts, that if we brought all together, we will make it, and the time is running. Right?
Solid, yeah.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Well, Adrian, Alex, it has been such a joy to have this opportunity.
Well,
First of all,
Aaron.
meeting you and having some wonderful conversations over the last couple days, and to have this opportunity to share some of your story and your projects with our audience. And before we sign off, I just want to make sure, and we're in no rush. I just want to make sure we have an opportunity, if there's anything else you want to share or anything else you'd like to calls to action. You'd like to share with the audience?
I would like to share, I was traveling a lot around the world, and now I'm getting back to Mexico to use all this knowledge to empower our country, our states, our endangered species. So anyone that really wants to connect with this awesome nature, they will be really received in our home. Like our home is everyone's home. We don't have boundaries. We don't have boundaries. So we're open to everyone that wants to help and connect and understand nature and have this sense about what we're changing and what we're fighting for. Includes you too. Like I hope,
wonderful,
because I'm going out with a lot of countries to bring my energy to them. So I'm expecting everyone to get this energy back to Mexico.
Beautiful, good. I like it. It's reciprocity, right?
Yeah, and we have really good food. Really great food. Food and music.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, I'm hoping to take you up on this pretty soon. So we'll see how that goes.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Adrian, Alex. Thanks so much for joining us. It's been wonderful.
Everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. All right. Bye, everybody.
The Why on Earth Community Stewardship and Sustainability podcast series is hosted by Aaron William Perry, author, thought leader, and executive consultant. The podcast and video recordings are made possible by the generous support of people like you. To sign up as a daily, weekly, or monthly supporter, please visit whyonearth.org/support. Support packages start at just $1 per month. The podcast series is also sponsored by several corporate and organization sponsors. You can get discounts on their products and services using the code WHYONEARTH, all one word with a Y. These sponsors are listed on the whyonearth.org/support page. If you found this particular podcast episode especially insightful, informative, or inspiring, please pass it on and share it with a friend whom you think will also enjoy it. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your support. And thank you for being a part of the Why on Earth community.